In this video, we're going to explore the single line comments. And this is not really a very complicated topic, as it's just useful for a developer. So let's start and explore that. So, by the way, and if you're interested in learning Chart.JS, check out my Udemy course in the description box. In there you can find a link. When you click on that, you will go to Udemy and you'll find a massive course about Chart.JS. Alright, let's start and explore about the single line comment. And the single line comment is basically a comment or helps you to get information about a function. So let's start with that. Basically, this is meant for developers to be organized. In here, you can see we have some commands and functions and all this line of text. And our goal here is to be more descriptive, so that if someone else would take over or redevelop or adjust this, is able to read what's going on here. And this is really important. When you start to code, in the beginning, you will know you will code in any way you prefer. And what happens after a while, you will notice that if you are a developer and maybe you will work with other people, you know that your code needs to be more readable. And the goal of more readable is that if anytime someone else would take over the job or would help you out, you don't have to specify exactly what's going on, because it's already clear to them based on the comments and the information and the method of writing your code. So let's start and explore that. So a comment or single line comment is basically one that starts with 2 slashes here. The moment you have 2 slashes, it starts to gray out the text, everything here. But if I remove them, you can see it becomes again white. What really happens here is basically this is not being read in JavaScript as a JavaScript command. It's just a comment message. And this is useful. For example, here in this case, you have this here. What you want to do here is maybe to put in a description what this part does. And then here as well, another one that would explain what this does. So if someone else would pick up your work, they would know exactly what to do. Or imagine you outsource this. You ask someone, can you do this for me? And they have to come back to you every time. They say, ABC, John, or whatever your name is. I have this here, but I don't understand what it is. Can you explain? And if you have to explain every time, after a while you say, well, it's faster if I just write it myself, which is true. But you cannot write everything yourself, so you need to make sure you have a system in place that will help people to understand what you did. So here basically the following. We say here a trigger, this could be, if we look at this text here, let's check what's the text here. We will get a document trigger. What is the trigger? Which is the button here. This is one of my other videos. And once this happens, it would trigger a event. So we can say here, HTML button ID equals trigger if clicked activate function change text p. Alright, so you have this, and then you have here, what does this do then? Well, you can say here exactly the same. Well, here adjust, because here if you read this change text here, you can say here, this is the paragraph, adjust p, we can do p tag or something like that. Well, with a p tag ID, or you can do instead of ID, you can do hashtag, that also means an ID, change text, and then we can say adjust the text of the tag change text to text below, text in function. Alright, very simple. As you can see here now, this is slightly easier to read compared to deciphering or decoding this, because this takes some time. Even for anyone here, they understand, most people understand this, but it would take you probably far more time than to read this here. If you see this here, alright, this makes sense. This is probably just to activate a button with a certain ID name, and then you can find this here. And the reason why is because sometimes descriptions of functions and items within JavaScript is very limited. So if they use like very short terms like X, function X, and another one with function B, it will be harder and harder, which I don't recommend too much. Make sure you give the proper descriptions, but especially with constants and everything, these are X or button, something, you get very short terms. And that makes it harder and harder. And as it becomes harder, especially this would be C, function C. If we save this, let's check here. It all works, no problem. But you just try to figure out what does X mean? Okay, it means this. Trigger this, all right. And then what does C mean? Well, C is function this. And if you go deeper and deeper with longer pieces of code of JavaScript, it will be harder and harder. So having a single line comment here helps you to make it more readable for code developers. That will help you in your project, of course, or in any other. The more expert you become, you will notice that you will focus more and more that your code is readable, not for you only, but for others in the team, because probably you will work on a project which requires team effort. All right, so I hope this was a bit more clear and more elaborate. I was not expecting to have such a long video of just about 2 slashes and some text, but if you understand the mindset behind it, or the reason or the logic behind it, it starts to make sense more, and it gives you a better understanding of how a developer works. All right, I hope you like this video. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. And if you have questions about this, which I think you probably won't have, but if ever you do have, just put them in the comment section below.